what I would like to do is just do some background as to how we came to the position of creating these videos, and then let you see them and judge them for yourself. So the background to these videos, we, in our last strategic plan, decided we were looking to create a thing called an MND Academy. We had seen from the surveys that we had, etc., that there was a need for some educational material, initially for patients and carers. And we weren't sure what the specifics were we were going to look at. So it just so happened that at that time within Edinburgh, in NHS Lothian, there were some audits that were being carried out. And they were looking at specifics within certain areas. And one of the key areas that they were looking at was gastrostomy. And from that audit, they saw that patients within NHS Lothian were surviving longer with the insertion of gastrostomy, which was obviously a good thing. They were looking to try and have early referral to the gastrostomy team. But what they also found was that only a minority of the MND patients were actually being referred to the team. The other audit that was carried out was looking at unexplained hospital admissions. So reasons for people with MND being admitted to the hospital, but not a planned admission, an unexplained admission. And what that audit revealed was that the key thing that people were being admitted to hospital about was because of falls. They were tripping up and falling. And that was 5 times more than anything else within there. And because they were being admitted by falls, they were ending up in hospital for 4 to 5 days, and generally speaking, being in wards that were not experienced in managing MND. So the whole journey itself for the patients themselves was not good. So with that background, we then had the evidence to guide us as to what improvements we wanted to make and to try and raise the awareness of some of the things that we had identified through the audit. We were also approached at that time by an organisation, the Grand Lodge of Edinburgh, who wished to raise money for us and collaborate in fundraising, but they wanted to specifically use that money for clinical care. And equally, they were wanting to do it within the Edinburgh area. Now, as a national organisation, we try not to have things done just within one small area. Our remit is really to try and ensure that no matter where somebody is within Scotland, that they can receive the same basic level of care. So we managed to agree that we would develop the videos that we were going to develop. We'd do them within Edinburgh, but they would be made nationally for people to use, and that was agreed within that. So given the 2 audits that we had, we identified 3 main areas that we wanted to try and concentrate on. So reducing falls, for the obvious reason that was the reason for people being admitted to hospital for unexplained admissions, but also looking at promoting early feeding tube placement, so that people were getting rid of some of the fears and trying to get the information across to people that early placement is good. And one of the key things that we have always come across, and I know that other organisations come across as well, is this fear of choking. And there's the myth of people dying because of choking. So again, we wanted to try and address that in a certain way. So how did we go about it? Well, mainly in partnership. We went out to tender. We want to see professional companies. We wanted this to be a professional video that was being made. So we put tender out. We had tenders coming back, and we assessed those. And we were briefing them on the type of videos that we wanted, and we were quite specific in what we were wanting. We had decided to use animation rather than real people or actors. And part of the reason for that is as many of you will know, some people with ALS MND don't want to see other people and what can be ahead of them. but part of it as well, it means that it's not time limited within that. We wanted to keep things real though, so what we did was we used people who have experience of living with MND, and we used their words, their thoughts and their voices. And when you see the videos, you'll hear people, either carers or people with MND, it's them that are speaking in their own words. And it was a partnership between ourselves, between the NHS, so the health system within Scotland, between the funders, the Lodge in Edinburgh, and between patients and carers. And patients and carers, as you'll see, are really at the heart of these videos. So we ended up producing 3 animated videos that could be used to address these issues. And what I would like to do now is just show you those videos. They're short videos, but as I say, it's a chance for you to see what we're actually talking about. So the first one we're going to look at is the trips and falls.
I couldn't stop the MND and what it was doing to my mum, but there were simple things that I could do to help prevent her falling. When we would go out shopping, she would take the trolley just to give her that extra little bit of stability and a bit of confidence.
We had to do a trip assessment, and we moved all sorts of obstacles. There was a rug which had to be removed completely, because there are things that are trip hazards that you don't consider to be trip hazards.
Especially grandchildren's toys on the floor. The wee one, he's only 4, and he's very good at clearing out his toys.
Just back to the basics, keeping your furniture around the walls, nothing in the middle of the rooms. The less things that you can bang your head on if you do go down makes it better.
People with MND end up in hospital mainly because they've had falls, not because of the MND itself. And it is possible that after being hospitalised you could lose any benefits and your carer's package, and then you would have to start claiming again.
We had a bar at the side of the bed. The stairs were becoming a hazard, so we had a stair lift put in, and that really helped.
My advice with riser recliner chairs is to get it as soon as possible, because it really will help you be able to get up on your own and get it sooner rather than later.
I would recommend speaking to an occupational therapist who can come out, have a good look at how you manage, and if there's anything that they can put in place to help you at home.
This is our home. We didn't want it looking like a hospital. But we have had seats that he can sit at the cooker or peel potatoes. It might be the ugliest of things, but it does help keep his independence and prevent falls.
To find out more, contact your clinical specialist or go to mndscotland.org.uk or care-mnd.org.uk.
So that's the first video, as I said, trying to address the fall side of things, and it gives you the flavour of the animation that was used and the voices. As I say, those are actual patients and carers that were coming through from that. Let me just move on to the choking one, and again you'll see it's very similar in style.
For me, the choking was the most frightening aspect of MND. Choking on excess saliva, or even just choking just on air.
First time it happens is the scariest. I found that I went on to autopilot, so I didn't appear to be panicking. You just go back to basics really and do what you can.
I felt anything but calm inside, but you just do what you need to do. It was really the techniques that my mum was taught by her speech and language therapist that helped the most, focusing on breathing.
And put them in a more comfortable position until the incident passes.
You can feel quite helpless. Just providing a bit of reassurance and helping them to stay calm, then that's a positive thing that you can do to help.
When my daughter was choking, I knew that I had to stay calm for her sake. You are told that you're not going to die with a choking episode, but it doesn't feel like that when you're actually going through it. If somebody said to me, you'll learn all these things, I would have never thought I could do it, but you can, you know.
find out more, speak to your clinical specialist or visit mndscotland.org.uk or care-mnd.org.uk.
As I say, they are short videos. They are not meant to be fully instructional. They are there to raise awareness and to get people to ask questions and to come forward. So the final one I want to show you is the feeding tubes. We'll do that just now.
So I got the feeding tube fitted a year ago, and it really wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. I spoke to the MND nurse, and she explained all the pros and cons of the operation, and she explained how MND may affect my ability to swallow. So it was important to get this done before I had difficulties in eating or drinking. It was my decision 100% to get the tube fitted. So the big thing was to get the tube fitted before I needed it, and especially before my breathing was compromised. The actual operation was very quick. I went in the afternoon. The next morning I got the operation. The following morning I was released from hospital. They put a very thin tube up my nose, down my throat, then inflated my stomach so they can see where to make a small incision in my belly and put the tube in. Some people get the operation done another way, where they swallow a small tube with a camera on the end so they can see exactly where to make the incision. Now, I got my tube fitted a year ago, and I still luckily have not had to use it because I can still swallow. There may come a point where I have to use it, and at least I have the comfort in knowing it's done, it's ready, so when I do have to use it, it's there. Now, my wife was a little bit worried about looking after the tube initially, but looking after the tube is fairly straightforward. Twice a day, we spin the tube round a couple of times and flush it through with water. So now this is just part of our daily routine, and there's nothing to worry about. My advice is, get the feeding tube fitted well before you need it, while you're still fit and healthy to have the operation done. To find out more, ask your clinical specialist or look it up on mndscotland.org.uk or care-mnd.org.uk.
So those are the videos that we produced. They are hot off the press. We only launched them last Thursday. But the videos themselves are not just the whole story. The whole idea is that we want to raise awareness and we want people to be able to find out more information. So we also have written information, and on our website there are backup information for people. So again, on the MND Scotland website, you're able to get further information on each of these. I'd like to acknowledge the people that helped to make it. So the Provincial Grand Lodge of Glasgow, who funded it, Edinburgh, sorry. Anne Callahan from the Edinburgh branch, the Lothian NHS team, our care team through in that part, Niamh and Rosalind from MND Scotland, and the company that actually produced it itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your report. I got an idea, not about video, but about audio, the educational audio with initial bulbar ILS voices. Because in our country, we have many patients with initial bulbar ILS voices whom are diagnosed cerebral vascular disease, and they live a lot without right diagnosis. So probably it will be an idea for you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, Gleb. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Congratulations. I was just watching on your website, and we'll be very happy to translate those videos into Spanish for the whole Spanish-speaking community, if you authorize that.
That's very kind of you.
Okay.
Yes, we will look at that.
All right,
Yeah.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greg, how much did it cost?
Get right to the point, Gudjon. We received a donation of £15,000 to get these produced. They are not cheap, but we hope that we'll see the return on that. As I say, it was only launched last Thursday, so the plan is that we will carry out the audit again to see if it has made any impact within that and see if it's money well spent.
But would we be able to translate it or talk into it with Icelandic or?
I think similar with Pablo. I think we'll certainly look at that and just make sure that the copyright side of things is fine. But I would welcome the opportunity to be able to do that. So thank you, Gudjon.
Thank you.
Thank you.